So given that background, cards out, which is a not true statement about model view controller. In SaaS apps on the web, controller actions and view contents are transmitted using HTTP protocol. Model view controller apps have both a client part, like the part that runs in your browser, and a cloud part, like the part that runs in Rails on an app server. Model view controller is just one of several ways that you could structure these apps. And although we've been talking about client server, you could also use model view controller to structure peer-to-peer applications, like file sharing, stealing, whatever. So think about this for a moment. We'll do a vote. Let's do an initial vote. Initial vote, initial vote. OK, there's not agreement. There's almost representation of every answer. So this is a good one to talk about for about 30 seconds. Which statement is not true? OK, shall we try voting again? Let's try second vote, second vote, second vote. This question is obviously very contentious. So let's go through these answers one at a time and see which ones we can determine to be true or not true. Controller actions and view contents are transmitted using HTTP. Well, what's a controller action? Well, a controller action is just an HTTP request, right? That's the only way we have to communicate with an app. And what are view contents? View contents are things like HTML pages. HTTP is indeed the one and only protocol that is used for web SaaS applications. So orange passes the test. Orange is a true statement. All model view controller apps have both a client part and a cloud part. Who made that rule? They absolutely don't have to. You could write an app that runs entirely on your iPhone, but model view controller really is just talking about how you organize the functionality of the app. That there's a notion of the data or the state that the app manipulates. There's a notion of some user interface. And there's a mediation between the user and the data, and that's the controller part. So you can apply that structure to an app that's got a client and cloud part. You can do it to an entirely cloud-based or an entirely client-based app. So the green statement is not true. What about the remaining two statements? Just one of several possible ways. If you were not asleep during the last slide, you should realize that it is just one of several possible ways. I showed three other ways. And what about the last one, peer-to-peer apps versus client-server? Well, again, a peer-to-peer app as distinct from client-server, that just means that unlike client-server, there aren't necessarily different pieces of software specialized for different roles. Right? There's a single piece of software that both serves your files to other people and lets you copy files from those other people. But again, if we're just talking about the way the data is organized, the way that users interact with it, and the mediation between those two, you can apply that concept to any type of app. So indeed, client-server as well as peer-to-peer apps could be structured as model view controller.